What's up, everybody? I'm back for the NFC East. Um, so this will be fun. Obviously they've got the home team. I'm from DC, so Washington football team, Giants, Cowboys. The Cowboys are the favorites right now to win the division at plus 105 or 135, I think it is, and then the Redskins are like plus 205, something like that. So for me, I have Redskins first, Giants second, Cowboys third, Eagles fourth. The Redskins are just the safest pick here to win the division. They have a really good defense. Question mark at the quarterback, obviously. Their line is pretty solid. Obviously, they have Fitz, who's gonna win you some games, gonna lose you some games. He's decent enough, I think, to be the starter on a team that might make the playoffs. They also have Taylor Heineke, who was absolutely stellar in the playoffs last year. Looked great. Maybe he can be a starter. Regardless of the quarterback position, around him you've got McLaurin. They got Curtis Samuel, great signing. They got Antonio Gibson, who's decent. McKissick's his backup, he's all right. They've got Steven Sims, who's kind of a burner, fast wide receiver. They've got Logan Thomas at the tight end position, who's a beast. Really developed last year, had a lot of good catches. Former quarterback, now tight end, and he's really good. They've got Lano Jr. from the Bears, and I think he's all right. They've got Brandon Scherff, who's one of the best guards in the league. They reacquired Eric Flowers, who had a good year for the Dolphins. They got Roulier at center, who's decent center. So decent line. Maybe could use another tackle there, but pretty solid. They're also going to lose Sheriff next year, I believe, so that's unfortunate. But good line at least for this year. And then the defense, probably the best in the NFL. Probably. Yeah, I'd say it's probably the best in the NFL. Maybe I'd have to think about it. The Rams are also really good. Rams D is also really good, as well as Buffalo. Let me know if I'm missing another team there. But they've got best defensive line, hands down. Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, Ian Ioannidis. So just five. Those are five really solid defensive linemen. Chase Young, just absolute beast. Montez Sweat. I mean, those two guys, so good. And then they needed a linebacker. They took Jamin Davis from Kentucky, maybe, or Memphis. Can't remember. To fill that need. They got Bostic too, who's a serviceable middle linebacker. He's decent. Holcomb as well. Both, him and Bostic got along, played alongside each other very well. So decent running backs. Then their secondary is pretty good. They've got Kendall Fuller, who's a great slot cornerback, probably one of the best in the NFL. They signed William Jackson from the Bengals, paid him a lot of money. We'll see how well he does, but at least they made an effort to get a second cornerback, so they didn't have to use Moreland there. They got Landon Collins, who's an overpaid but pretty decent safety, and then Cameron Curl, who played decent in the playoffs last year, and I think he's still kind of young, but good option there. And they got the veteran Bobby McCain as well in that secondary, so great defense. And that's just why you take him here. They're the safest pick. They got that defense, and Fitz is gonna be. I trust Fitz more than Daniel Jones, if that makes any sense. Fitz / Heineke more than Daniel Jones. He's just such a wild card. Turns the ball over so much. So let's get into the Giants. They're getting some reinforcements on offense, man. I tell you. They're getting Saquon back. They got Kenny Galladay, who's really good wide receiver. I think underrated. Can't wait for him to shine on the Giants this year. They got Kadarius Toney in the first round. They got Sterling Shepard. They got Darius Slayton. They got Evan Ingram. So a lot of weapons for Daniel Jones. That line still is a little shaky. Andrew Thomas was not very good this year. He, I don't know. He's definitely looking like they should have taken Warfs or um, who else was good in that draft? Mekhi Becton. Instead, Thomas is just not looking that great, but he's still young, still can develop. They've got Nate Solder. Maybe he can turn it around, but I doubt it. And then the interior of their line, I haven't heard of any of the guys. So still not a great line for Jones, and that's definitely affected his development. You can't lie about that. You can't deny it. His line, bad line over the years has really affected him being able to throw the ball and be confident in the pocket. But moving on to their defense, they have a very solid defense, underrated as well. They got Dexter Lawrence, the former rounder from Clemson. They got Leonard Williams, who they got from the Jets. They re-signed him to a big deal. And they got Danny Shelton, who was on the Patriots, big clog nose tackle there. They got Blake Martinez from the Packers, someone the Packers shouldn't have let go. And Reggie Ragland from Alabama. I don't know how good he is, but I kind of like him as a player. They've got Bradbury, who's a legit number one cornerback. They've got Adoree Jackson, who they got via free agency. We'll see how he is. He's been underwhelming for me so far in his career. Titans let him go. But to back that up, they've got Jabril Peppers, Xavier McKinney, and Logan Ryan, who was absolutely fabulous for them last year. So overall, solid secondary, pretty good defensive line. Could maybe use some help linebacker-wise, but overall, this is a really solid defense, and there's a lot to like here. Overall, for the Giants, if Jones can play well, they can very well win this division, but it's all in the hands of Daniel Jones. That's my headline for the Giants. What is he going to be this year? Can he cut down on the turnovers? And he's athletic. He's fast. Like, he's really fast. He's a decent scrambler. Just gotta stop turning the ball over. And if he can cut down on that, he's going to be a decent quarterback because he can throw the ball downfield. He's not afraid to take those shots, which is a good sign. So we'll see, man. We'll see. The clock is also ticking on him. It's like his 4th or 5th year in the NFL, so Giants are going to have to decide soon whether they want him or they're going to let him go. Next up, we've got the Cowboys in 3rd place. Only reason I have them here is because of that offense. They're getting Dak Prescott back. They got Zeke. They got CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. They got Michael Gallup, too, solid wide receiver. They've got Tyron Smith. They've got Lyle Collins. They got Zach Martin. Or do they have Zach Martin? Yeah, they have Zach Martin. He might be injured or something, but he's really good. So really good offensive line, good offense in general. The defense is horrible. You can't just get a linebacker and not, expect all your problems to be gone. They need a pass rusher. They need 1 or 2 cornerbacks. They need a safety. So many needs on this defense. It's an absolute mess. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about the Micah Parsons pick. They got someone on defense, which is good, but they need a cornerback, not a linebacker. They have Leighton Vander Esch and they have Jalen Smith. Those are probably their 2 best players on defense right now. So adding to the linebacker core, that was I guess it's a good pick because you're adding onto your defense, but is Parsons going to be a pass rusher for them? I don't think so. That's not what he did at Penn State, really. DeMarcus Lawrence is another good player on their defense, but just how good is he? Is he, the elite pass rusher that I think he is? I think so, but Didn't really have a good season last year. We'll see what he does this year. But really needs to step it up this year because they just didn't get a lot of pressure on their quarterback last year. Same with Randy Gregory. Um, it's just it's that their defense isn't very good. And let me get into the secondary. Their corners are Trayvon Diggs, who was a third-round pick out of Alabama, and Anthony Brown. And then they've got Donovan Wilson and DeMonte KZ as their safeties. Absolutely horrendous secondary. They're gonna get torched all season. Gonna get absolutely lit up. So that's unfortunate for them. And the problem for me is you have a terrible defense last season and you don't do anything to fix it. That's kind of a head scratcher. Sure, you added Micah Parsons. What I meant is you had a terrible secondary, and they didn't do anything to address it. Could have, no, not Richard Sherman now that he got arrested, but you gotta do something. Like maybe trade a lot of picks for Gilmore. If you're trying to, but the bottom line is if you're trying to win now, you gotta at least try. And you try by getting a cornerback or a safety. Just improve the secondary at the very least. So that's, it's not in, oh, will Dallas's defense play well? No, they're not going to have a good defense. So there's no real question for this team. I guess the questions are, how good is their offense going to be? I think it's going to be really good. They have a lot of good players. They got Dak Prescott, who's probably top 10 quarterback. So, um, not a lot of questions for Dallas. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. In fourth place, we have the Eagles. They're not a bad fourth place team. They could definitely finish second. If Jones has a horrible season and the Cowboys are just terrible, Dak's arm isn't healed, and their defense plays as he is. They're not a bad fourth place team. I like Jalen Hurts. I don't know where I'd rank him in terms of quarterbacks in the division, but I like what I saw from him at the end of the season. He made some big throws. He's athletic. He's good in the pocket. He proved is a decent pocket passer, and he made some good throws and passed for a lot of yards with some wide receivers that I'd never really heard of. Rager, it'll be interesting to see if he can stay healthy. Travis Fulgham was a guy who stepped up for them last year, had some touchdowns. They got Devonta Smith in the draft. Love that pick. He's just pure raw talent right there. And then Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz are their tight ends. I think they should have traded Zach Ertz a while ago, just get some compensation for that. They didn't do that, which is too bad. Pretty good offensive line. If Lane Johnson can stay healthy, which he probably won't, he's one of the best tackles. You've got Andre Dillard, who's a former first-round pick, who's good. You got Jason Kelsey, good center. Brandon Brooks, one of the best guards in the league. So very good offensive line. It's got to stay healthy though. Last year it was not, and Wentz took a brunt from that. So the weapons also, some questions there. How good is Goddard going to be? Can he take the role as number one tight end? Is he going to be consistent? How good is Devonta Smith? Can Rager stay healthy? Is Fulgham going to be as good as he usually, how big of a role can he take? How much can he produce? So a lot of questions. Reason why I have Eagles in fourth place is because their defense. It's just not very good. Brandon Graham, pretty old. He was good. He's still okay, but he's just not the Super Bowl self he was when he stripped Zach Tom Brady. They got Ryan Kerrigan, who's actually that's a decent pass rusher piece to add. Left the Redskins, kind of hurts the Redskins lose him. Derek Barnett, not great. How good is Fletcher Cox? I still think he's pretty decent, and they got Hargrave from the Steelers. So decent defensive line. The linebackers are terrible. You've got Alex Singleton, Eric Wilson, and Jannard Avery. Haven't heard of any of those guys. Darius Slay was awful last year. Got paid like $20 million, or at least close to that, and just didn't really get the job done as a number one cornerback. The secondary in general last year was really bad for Philadelphia. They got Steven Nelson, who was on the Steelers maybe, and he's fine. Steven Nelson. Yeah, he was from the Steelers, and he's okay. So 2 okay cornerbacks, and then Anthony Harris and Rodney McLeod as their safeties. So not a very good secondary, not good linebackers, and then a defensive front that's aging, but is pretty good. So, you know, we'll see what Philly can do. They could definitely make a run here. Any team I think could really win this division besides Dallas. That's just my humble opinion. Um, Philly's defense isn't the worst out of this. I just have Dallas ahead of them because Dallas has a better offense, if that makes any sense. But anyways, that's gonna do it for NFC North. Really excited to see how that division plays out. I just think the Redskins are the safest pick there. But any team except I think Dallas could win that division. So thanks for watching, guys.